What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and basically, just go back and watch my Man U review, because it's basically the same thing. Outside of the fact that I do think this Arsenal team are better than Man U, we still did the same thing. This is a game we should be winning if we just take the game to them, and we don't do that. You look at the Man U game, if we had taken that game to that sorry-ass Man U team, we would have beaten them, but we didn't. And then they managed to get a goal. We got lucky and got one back and managed to get a draw out of it. In a game we should be walking away with 3 points, we felt lucky to get a point. You look at this game, this Arsenal team, yeah, they finally got back Odegaard to make them a little bit better, but this is his first game back in a long time. He's not going to be fully fit, which means this Arsenal team are not going to be at their best. It's at Stamford Bridge. We should be taking this game to them. And then we didn't. We played slow, we knocked it back a lot, we kept going negative, we kept inviting the pressure on, and they just kept growing into the game and really should have won based on some of the chances they had. A couple of lucky offside calls that we had going for us. I'm looking at this going, once again, feel good about getting a point after a game where we should be taking all 3 points away from it. We really should. You got Rice, who's dealing with some sort of toe injury. You've got Odegaard, who's coming back for his first game. Their midfield should be absolutely just swamped today with how much talent we have. But our attackers are not playing at their best at the moment. They're not clicking very well. You've got Jackson taking terrible touches. Madueke has been in terrible form recently, and Maresca just refuses to drop him for some reason. Palmer has been playing nowhere near the best that we've seen him play. He went from world's best player a few games ago to all of a sudden now he's just barely making middle of the ground in the Premier League. I don't know what's happened, but I feel like Maresca is starting to lose. Just the dressing room starting to lose his tactics, because I look at both of these games and both of them are games where I feel like his style, the way he's had us playing, it should work here. We should be going at them. We should be taking the ball, getting it downfield quickly, getting in behind them as quick as we can. And it feels like a lot of these players, whether it's because he's instructed them to or because they're lacking confidence for some reason, it looks like we keep going backwards. Like we just, the pass is on, but I don't feel comfortable playing that, so I'm going to knock it back. And Arsenal take that as a great opportunity to put pressure on us high until we just have to go long with it. Now they win the ball back, and now they're back at us again. It was very much, I would say 50-50 for most of the game, but in reality, it was a bit more Arsenal taking the game to us and then us keeping a lot of possession in our backfield until eventually we just give it away. And that's not what I expected to see today. I expected to see a reaction after that Man U win, or the Man U draw after the win against Noah, which obviously I didn't do a review of that game, but I mean, what's there to talk about? We crushed some little minor league team at 8-0 at home. Whoop-de-doo. Once again, though, 11 changes in the midweek. None of the players that started today started that midweek game, so you're thinking everybody should be fresh. That's not happening. Arsenal, a lot of these guys played against Inter Milan midweek at Inter Milan. They had to travel to Italy, come back. They should be legged. They should be looking so much further off of it as far as freshness is concerned, but somehow they look more fresh than we do. So what's going on with Maresca's system? What's going on with his tactics that we're not getting the freshness that we should be from resting everybody midweek? Where is that going? Because we thought earlier on, I mean, a lot of those games, it looked like that's what was happening. It looked like all these players were remaining top fitness because they weren't playing midweek. Well, now, not only are they not playing midweek, and so now we've been knocked out of one of the tournaments, but now our best players aren't seeing that top fitness anymore. It feels like they're slower. It feels like they're off pace. I don't know why. I don't know what's caused this. I don't know, like I said, if it's Maresca's tactics in the past few games. Maybe he's decided to be a bit more pragmatic to not give up as many goals. But the fact of the matter is, we're still giving up at least a goal because our defense is just not good enough, even when we do play a bit more pragmatic. So we've got to go for it. We've got to get the ball into our front four and let them play with confidence. Let them play with freedom to go out and attack, because that's what they're good at. That's the only thing that we have going for us right now this season, is our attack is really good. But we're not seeing that in the game against Man U and the game today. We are not seeing that because for whatever reason, it's like we're trying to play too much around in the back. And we don't have the quality back there to do that. We don't have the quality to keep possession in defense, because I guarantee 9 out of 10 times we're going to give it away if we're trying to do that. And that happened today. So I feel like once again, Maresca got it all wrong. His subs were okay. I mean, Madueke coming off something that really should have happened right away. Same for Gusto. I don't know why he was subbed off so late. Enzo coming on for Lavia. Lavia looked like he might have been struggling. Hopefully it's not an injury again, but we'll see. But it's not like any of his subs today were bad. I do wonder why Felix isn't getting more time, though. I mean, he looks like he's playing really well. He's playing with confidence in these midweek games. I don't know why he's not an option off the bench. I know you don't want to sub Palmer out. I get that. But I feel like you can still fit both of them in there. I feel like you can have both of them playing in behind the striker. Palmer's going to drop a bit deeper than Felix will. And I would like to see them trying to create together, create off of each other, because they're both very quality players. But I don't know. For some reason, he doesn't want to try it. But getting into the individual, Sanchez, good saves, bad passing, basically the same we've seen all this season. Gusto on the right side, another pretty poor game from him. Defensively, he's doing okay, but his touches are awful. He's nearly giving the ball away every single time that he received it today. Also took some really bad shots with no angle from outside the box. And if anybody's going to be taking shots from outside the box, he's probably one of the lower picks on the team. So I don't know why he tried that a couple times today. He's the one that's getting further down the field between the two fullbacks. And I just feel like it's not helping us because he's not good enough on the ball. I don't think James is going to be doing that because I think Maresca is trying to keep him from running up and down as much, so to save his legs a bit more. But unfortunately, he's the one that I'd prefer to see getting down the field and getting in those positions because he's got more quality on the ball. But yeah, for Gusto, though, because he is further forward, it's not good games for him because he's so often losing the ball up there. In the middle, Fofana and Colwill. Once again, Fofana looking really shaky defensively. A lot of bad positioning, a lot of losing track of runners, all of that stuff. Thankfully, it didn't hurt us too much today, but still don't know why he's playing. I know we don't have many options, but still don't know why he's in the starting 11 for some reason. Colwill definitely had one of his lesser games today. Some poor giveaways. Didn't really do well defensively sometimes. Really, some of those mistakes that you can't be making as a defender, he was making today. And he's not really been doing that for much of the season. He's been a little bit more consistent as far as our center backs are concerned. But for some reason today, it just felt like he was somewhere else mentally. And then Kukure on the left side, probably our best player in defense today. Very strong, a lot of good challenges in on Saka. Kept him pretty quiet throughout most of the game, so glad to see that from him. Into the midfield, Caicedo, I thought, once again, probably man of the match, if not for Neto's performance. He's just really good. He's very good at breaking up the play. A lot of people are talking about comparing him to Conte. It's very close. I will say the more that he continues to grow in that midfield and be a disruptor in there, the more that those comparisons are going to be made because he's very good at doing that. And probably has been the one highlight of the past couple of weeks, how bad it's been. He's been the one bright light at the end of the tunnel to say Caicedo is really good. We finally got a good quality defensive midfielder in there that we've lacked since Conte dropped off in form. So it's been really good to see him doing a lot of that. His passing as well has come a long way, which I was not really expecting because that was the one part of his game that I felt like was just not quite there a few weeks ago. But I honestly, watching him these past couple of weeks, it feels like he's been working on it because he's put some good, dangerous passes in that have broken the defensive lines pretty well. Lavia, he's really been up and down since he's come back from injury. I feel like this was one of those games where he had more up moments than he did down, if that makes sense. It just feels like there are too many moments where he's losing the ball cheaply in the middle of the field, and because he is one of our defensive holding mids, if you lose it there, that's basically giving them a license to run right at your defense. So we need him to be a little bit more composed, a little bit more safe when he's on the ball. But defensively, I think he's doing pretty well. Not the same level as Caicedo, but he gives us a little bit more creativity and a little bit more strength and speed than Enzo does. So I think that's where he's right now ahead of Fernandez in the starting lineup. But I can see if he doesn't have a little bit more consistency, I could see that rotation happening soon. I could see Fernandez, if he has a few more good games coming off the bench, a few more midweek games where he's playing really well, I could see that switch happening in the next few weeks. On the right side with Madueke, I mean, our right side was really struggling today between Gusto constantly losing the ball and the Madueke, once again, just fully selfish. 100% selfish. And I know some people will talk about, well, you need that selfish player that's going to take on these shots. I agree, But there are times whenever you got to realize that there are better options. And it feels like he never really does. His decision making in the crucial moments, I feel like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be bad. It's going to be the wrong decision. He's going to take a shot when he had passes and it's going to get blocked by the defender, or it's going to be well wide. I just don't see him making the correct decision enough for me to want to see more of him. Honestly, when he came off in the second half, I felt like our attack looked a lot better. Between, first of all, Neto getting pushed to the side that I think he's more comfortable on, but also I think right now Mudryk, he's actually in a decent run of form. I still don't see him as the dangerous winger that everybody else is thinking he's going to be. I still think he lacks a lot in the final third, but he does well whenever he picks up the ball. He looks dangerous. He brings other players into the play well. He creates, at least in the build-up to getting into the final third. Madueke just is not giving us anything in any section of the pitch. I do not see enough from him. Made some decent defensive challenges, but that's one small part of what a winger is supposed to bring. I don't know what's going on with Sancho. I find it hard to believe that he's still sick, so once again, I do have to ask the question, are we seeing that attitude problem rise up again? And maybe they're trying to keep him out of the public light by saying he's just sick. But right now, where we stand as far as wingers are concerned, I could see Mudryk coming in pretty soon to take that left wing spot, and Neto ends up on the right, and Madueke gets dropped because he's just not giving us enough to justify starting anymore. Neto on the left side, I didn't think he had a great start to the game, but I do think once he got on the right side, I think that's much more natural for him to play, coming down the right, cutting in on his left, having good crosses to the back post, or having a good shot. I think he looks much better fit over there than Madueke does. So I would much prefer to see him start there next game. And then Palmer in the center, like I said, he's nowhere near the level that he has been. And I don't know if it's the pressure of getting all these comparisons. He's the best player in the world, blah, blah, blah. People talk about how he disappears in the big matches. Problem is he didn't do that last year. So to say that is completely negating anything he did in the previous season. I think we've just seen him drop off in the past few weeks. I don't know why. Obviously, people were talking about the challenge for Martinez. There was a lot of speculation he wasn't training. Is he going to play? So you could say that, but obviously it's not just been this game. He also didn't play well against Man U. I thought even the past couple games against Newcastle, against Liverpool, he's not that same level that we're used to seeing. He still has his great defense cutting passes, but we don't see enough of it from him throughout the match. Obviously, he's not getting assists or goals as much as he used to. So it's really hard to say what exactly is going wrong with him right now. I feel like it's either a mentality thing or maybe there's something going on with his fitness. I thought after those first few matches, once he got up to full fitness, once he had the time to train and to get to that level, I thought we were going to start seeing his best. But honestly, since that point, since he scored the 4 goals in the one match, we've not really seen that from him. It feels like that was kind of it. He hit his peak and then it's just been downhill ever since. I'm not really sure what's happening there, but Maresca needs to figure that out soon. Because to be perfectly honest, not having Palmer at his best has been one of the crucial things in these past 2 matches that I feel like has killed us going forward. Now, granted, I think it's been a lot more than that, but I think that's been the key thing. You want to start at point 1. That is the first point that you need to address, is why has Palmer not been getting the best we've seen from him in these matches, and what can we do to correct that? Is it a team thing, or is it a tactics thing, or is it a mentality thing? Whatever it is, it's got to improve, because we need him to be playing 10 out of 10 like he normally does if we want a chance to win these crucial matches. And then Jackson up top, he's also not been at his best in these past 2 matches. I do think some of that is the service into him has not been great. I think you look at where the teams we normally play, they like to step up on us a little bit more. I think Man U and Arsenal have been very smart in how they address him. They've had good pacey center backs that can be back there and cause him trouble, can cut out the passes before they get there. They've not been staying as high as some of the teams that we played against. So he's not really been having the space to run into. I do think that is where Maresca needs to make a change too. Like whether it's maybe have him cut out wide a little bit more and have one of the wingers step inside. Just make some changes so that we can see him get on the ball a bit more in the dangerous areas. Because whenever he steps back and gets on the ball, it's not great. And when he's in the midfield, his touch is a little scary at times. It gets away from him. So I feel like whenever he's running at pace, that's where he's most dangerous. And we've not been seeing enough of that from him in the past couple matches. Again, I do think the other teams have done well to marshal him and make sure he does get less time on the ball in situations like that. But I think that's where changes need to happen. We need to adapt to allow for him to get into those spaces better. Obviously, overall, his performances have just dropped off in the past two. As far as subs coming off the bench, first Enzo coming on for Lavia and Mudryk coming on for Madueke. And I thought both of them did pretty well. Enzo, his passes today looked a lot sharper and cleaner than they have been in the past few matches that we've seen. I thought looked pretty dangerous on the turn, getting the ball. Even defensively, I think he looked pretty solid today. So one of his better performances, and I was glad to see that from him. Mudryk, like I said, he's in a good run of form right now. I think he still struggles when he gets into the final third, but he's good at winning the ball or getting the ball a bit deeper and running at the defense and getting into those dangerous areas. And that can cause problems, and it can allow for the players around him to get involved and make something happen. But obviously his final third distribution is still pretty poor, and we do need that to improve if he wants any chance of taking that left wing spot for his own. James came on for Gusto, and like I said, it feels like Maresca's not trying to push him forward as much, so he's a little bit more defensive. Unfortunately, that does lead to some issues when it comes to the wing on that side now has to be a lot more focused on the winger because it feels like James is pulling inside too much defensively. It did feel like it unbalanced the team a little bit, and I do feel like he's not quite playing his best still. I talked about this a little bit at the Man U match. I don't know if it's laziness. I don't know if it's his work ethic. There's just something there that is lacking from him whenever it feels like the game is at pace. It feels like he falls behind a little bit. It feels like he's not fully turned on and he can lose some of the runners around him. So I really do think he needs to be a bit more aware and awake to what's happening around him because there's too many moments where he's just completely fallen asleep and it feels like he's not ready for what's coming at him next. And then finally, Nkunku came on for Jackson, and that to me just felt like kind of a last throw of the dice, get a striker on who has been doing okay recently. So something a bit different than Jackson because he's not the runner that Jackson is, but he is a bit better on the ball. He's a bit more composed. But unfortunately, I just don't feel like we were getting forward enough. We weren't really breaking with enough intensity to get Nkunku involved in the capacity that he needed to be. And whether, like I said, that was Maresca's instructions or whether the players just were not confident enough to pass it down the field, it was very frustrating to watch. I mean, the amount of negative passes today were very frustrating. And I do think if we were playing with more confidence and we were getting the ball in and getting Nkunku on the ball as well, I think we could have done something late in the match. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And that's another, like I said, 2 points dropped. Now we are into the international break. And yes, we are ahead of Arsenal, which is nice. But I feel like we've missed 2 opportunities here. That's 4 points that we've dropped in the past 2 weeks that could put us right within touching distance of Man City, of Liverpool. I mean, Man City's been dropping points as well, so that's another team that we could possibly overtake. And we just have these opportunities that we're not taking. And it's very frustrating because it felt like Maresca had this team playing with so much confidence and ability to all of a sudden see that just sort of disappear in the past 2 matches. I don't know what happened. I don't know if just the confidence is starting to wane. I don't know if maybe they're second guessing themselves, too many goals that we're conceding. And so people are asking questions and maybe Maresca is saying, well, let's try not to concede so many. But the problem is you look at the defense, you look at the keeper, you're going to concede goals. It's going to happen. We do not have the quality back there to keep the goals out. So being pragmatic is basically saying we're going to give up at least a goal, but we're going to try not to give up too many. But now that means you're not going to be scoring as many goals either. And so it's kind of going to balance itself out, and we're going to see what we've seen the past 2 weeks, which has been pretty boring draws. And I hate to see that because we've been exciting to watch up until this point. Now all of a sudden it's just snore fests, and I hate it. I don't know why, but it makes me want to rip my hair out sometimes. We have a week off. We'll see what happens coming back from the international break. Hopefully we don't see any injuries. It tends to happen to at least 1 or 2. And obviously, we'll see everybody coming back probably a little bit sluggish because they'll probably have played a decent amount. So hopefully we return and get some better results. But till then, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts in the game today? Let me know what we could talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews. Also, check out the channel. We have a couple of Let's Plays on there as well as a ton of reviews, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.